Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you guys? I hope everyone is in good condition and enthusiastic in your living life. Now I am Ghani Kalsya Pujangga from class 5 TBI B. Okay, on this occasion I will explain you some important points, guys. There are 5 points that will be discussed in this video. This video is part of the final explanation for the History of Islamic Education course. The first point is I will explain you about the concept of the history of Islamic education. It includes definition, function, scope, and periodization. Point number 2 is describe the similarities between history and historical science. Topic number 3 is describe the pattern and practice of Patani Islamic education in Thailand. Topic number 4 is describe similarities and differences between the pattern of Umayyad Islamic education in Damascus and in Andalus 5. Topic number 5, the last is to describe and classify the Islamic education about Nahdlatul Ulama, Islamic education model about Muhammadiyah, and Islamic education model of Al-Irsad. Okay, I will explain you the topic number 1. The concept of history of Islamic education. The definition of the history of Islamic education is wrote in 3 basic words, namely history, education, and Islam. First is history. This means in the terms of the period, the calculation of the year to show the time in Arabic, and it is called the date. In English, mention is history, means human experience in the past. We conclude that story is an event or in a person's past that can be used as an experience for the next life. The word number 2 is education. In Arabic, education is often translated as Arabic, and in English called education. The word education has the basic word educate, which means to maintain and provide training regarding morals and intelligence. It is concluded that education is the process of changing the attitudes and behavior of a person or group to mature humans through teaching and training style. Number 3 is Islamic. Islamic comes from the word salam in Arabic, which means congratulation. And in Indonesia, Islam is the religion loved by the Prophet Muhammad, guided by the Al-Quran, which was delivered to world through revelation from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Islamic education is a record of events that have occurred related to the growth and development of Islamic education from birth to the present. Next is the function of the history of Islamic education. History of Islamic education has several functions. Number 1, knowing and understanding the growth and the development of Islamic education since the birth of Islam and to the present development. Number 2, taking advantage of the process of Islamic education that is relevant to the problems of Islamic education today. And the last, having a positive attitude towards changes and renewal of the Islamic education system. Okay, next is the scope of history of Islamic education. The scope of history of Islamic education includes the meaning, purpose, and benefits of the history education, the situation of education in the pre-Islamic era, education at the time of the Prophet Muhammad in Mecca and Medina, education during the Khulafa ar-Rashidin, during Umayyad and Abbasiyah era, during the Islamic Caliphate in Spain, Caliphate Fatimiyah in Egypt, the Ottoman Turkish dynasty and Mughal dynasty in India, the Safavid dynasty in Persia. Okay, next is the period of history of Islamic education. First is classical period. Islamic education period Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. In the life of the Prophet, the educational process took place in Kandi divided into two patterns. Number one is the pattern of Makkah education, and the second one is the pattern of Medina education. The Prophet introduced and invited to contemplate the power of God, read and change the habits of people who worship to God, and change the moral order of society. Education in Makkah can be seen in several aspects, namely morals and character. Health education include the physical education, so archery, horse riding, green lines, and the others. Second, the pattern of education in Medina. The pattern of education carried in Medina by the Prophet Muhammad instilled the value of the brotherhood between the Ansar and also the Muhajirin. The Prophet Muhammad built a mosque in Medina. Apart from the means of worship, here education takes place by teaching monotheism, building society, also having a family, and adapt or politeness. The educational process is more effective and efficient because it uses methods that protect all of the interests of the people of Medina. Education in the period of Khulafaur Rashidin. There are four Khulafaur Rashidin: Abu Bakar, Umar bin Khattab, Utsman bin Affan, and also Ali bin Abi Thalib. First leadership of Abu Bakar Rashidin. Okay, during this time, he succeeded in laying a strong foundation. He built a strong foundation for the struggle and dissemination of Islamic education, and also he doing dawah. The education system is almost the same as during the time of period Rasulullah. Both educational institution, educational materials, educational method, and in terms of how they are delivered. Material on faith, moral education, and also health with teaching methods of reading and also writing. And the educators in this leadership of Abu Bakar are still limited to France, while the place of education is still in the mosque. We go to the leadership of Umar bin Khattab. Okay. The area of Islam expanded with a stable political condition. So for education centers set in the mosque, of course, even though there are still the construction of schools, subjects include writing, reading, study of the Quran, and memorizing the Quran also in Arabic. And the next leadership is Utsman bin Affan. The implementation of education of period Umar bin Affan, Utsman bin Affan. This time is the lighter and easier in the terms of the process of implementing the educational methods. So the place of education is free for each educator. So every single educator can access free for their place to teach their students. The place of study is still in Kutab, number one, and then it's in mosque or in teacher house. The methods used include lecture of methods, memorizations and exercises, discussion methods, and question and answer methods. Next, leadership of Ali bin Abi Thalib. Education experienced obstacle because the emergence of rebellions, more expansion in some village or some district. So the general practice of education is still the same as the period as the leadership before the Ali. Education during the Umayyad periods. During the Umayyads, Islamic education expert used the word of al-madah to mean the curriculum. Education is based and sorts on religious texts, which consists of the Quran, Sunnah, its main hadith, ijma, and the fatwas of the Friends. Educational methods include the bayan method, lecture and demonstration demonstration methods. Better methods that used in the period. Educational institutions include Kutub, the mosque, the palace, or the Sultan residence, Sebedaya, or the place for Arabic language education, and they have the library, Al-Bimaristan, or hospital room, and the last, a literary assembly. Next, Islamic education during the Abbasiyah period. In Abbasiyah period, education and teaching developed very rapidly to children, so every children and even adults were competing to gain knowledge. The Islamic education curriculum divided into three. First, basic education curriculum, named Kutab, where children learn to materialize reading the Quran and memorizing it. Second is secondary education curriculum, located in mosque and literary assemblies. And number three, college or higher education level, is divided into two majors. First, majoring in religious sciences and Arabic language and literature, and the second one is majoring in general sciences, which is referred to as Aqliyah sciences. Next is the educational institution. The period after educational institution. First, Kutab, which is a place of learning at the lower and middle education level. Number two, Majlis Muhadur, literally salon, which is a meeting place for scholars and pools to discuss scientific issues. And then Badiah is hamlets where native Arabs live. And then Darul Hikmah is a library founded by Harun al-Rasyid. And the last, Madrasah, which is a form of school that emphasizes religious values in it. Okay, after discuss the classical period, guys, we go to the second is the medieval period. First is history of Islamic education in the period of Ottoman Empire. Okay, at this time, the teachings of the largest progression developed, namely the orders of Al-Bektashi and Al-Maulawi. Sufism is very popular among Muslims. The madrasah that developed at the time were covered by Sufi activities. So the teaching system is memorizing carefully, even though the students don't understand the meaning. The purpose of learning Islamic education that period though is directed toward the information and cognitive mastery. Second one is Islamic education of the Safawi Empire in Persia. Islamic education during the Safawi Empire was directed to strengthen the teachings of Shia and Sufism in the Muslim community in Persia. Islamic education does not only contain the science of fiqh, hadith, and interpretation, but also develop the sciences extracted from the Quran, such as medicine, mathematics, also pharmacy. The discovery of mathematical science in the field of medicine and the science of algorithms in the field of mathematics. Educational institutions at this time were not much different from another areas such as Kota, mosque, and madrasah, and the method of this education apply in the rote method and reasoning. Next is the history of Islamic education during Mughal Empire. The development of education during the Mughal Empire era experienced ups and downs due to the interest of the rules at the time, and education was not only focused on the science of fiqh, not only focused on hadith, not only focused in the Sufism or other Naqli sciences, but also the history of literature, history of art, and so on. Educational institutions were located in madrasah affiliated with Sufi halaqah and Zawiyah, with Sufi works incorporated into the formal curriculum. This period is the modern period. After we discuss the classical period and the middle period, we now discuss modern period. So the modern period is in Islamic history starts in 118 and continues to the present day. The renewal of Islamic education can be interpreted as an effort to carry out the process of changing the curriculum, process of changing of the method in education, methodology, situation, and changing in Islamic education from traditional to a more rational and professional direction in line with the development of science and also technology at the time. In general, the first direction of renewal of Islamic education is the Islamization of knowledge. Topic number 1 is done, so we go to the topic number 2 is talk about the history and historical studies. First is equation of the similarities of the history and historical science. Both discussing incident in the past or something that happened in the past where the incident has occurred and experienced by the humans, and the differences between the history and historical science. First differences between the history and historical science or historical studies is events that occur in the past related to human life are called history. Okay, and while the science to study these events is called historical sciences. So there are differences between history and historical sciences. Okay, we go to the topic number 3 is talking about style and practice of the Islamic education in the Patani, Thailand. Okay, the process of Islamization in Patani cannot be separated from the role of education in the early stage of Islamic religious education in the of Thailand. That injecting what the Al-Quran education was carried. So Al-Quran recitation is carried out in mosque and also in top gurus forms. So the Al-Quran recitation is carried out in mosque and also the top gurus. In every village in Thailand there is the top house which is used as class for teaching Quran. Education system in Patani, Thailand. So we know talking about the education system in Patani, Thailand, that is divided into 3. First is formal education, second one is non-formal education, and the third one is informal education. Educational institution in the Islamic education in Patani, Thailand. First is cottage in bahasa Mondok. Characteristic of the house in Patani or characteristic of cottage in Patani are as follows. Number 1, in the education system, namely halqa, students sit in circle around the teacher. Number 2, not using a class system, non-classical. Number 3, lessons are required by books read in open, not as wishes, 3 times per day. So every children read the book 3 times a day. Number 4, students record the explanation and comments they hear from the teacher. And number 5, beginner students study together with the senior student. Okay, educational institution. Second one is madrasah. Madrasah in Patani, Thailand can be divided into 3 levels. First, ibtidayah. Second one is mutawasitoh, and the third one is sanawiyah. The characteristic of the madrasah in Patani. First is classical system. And second one is have a curriculum. Madrasah have curriculum. So, course. Number 3, talk by teaching staff who have specialization in their field. The last institutional education in the Patani, Thailand is higher education of what we can also call university. In early 2000, an Islamic college was established in Yala College Yala College Islam, whose campus is located in the province of Tepatan. And finally, over the time, the name changed to Yala Islamic University. Okay, we go to the topic number 4, is talking about Islamic education of the Umayyad dynasty in Damascus and also in Andalusia. Okay, the Umayyad dynasty was divided into two. First was pioneered by Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan, based in Damascus or Syria. Second, the Umayyad dynasty in Andalusia, led by Walid bin Abdul Malik. The similarity of the pattern of Islamic education for the Umayyad dynasty in Damascus and also in Andalusia. First is the center of learning. The center of learning is to emphasize the scientific characteristic of the mosque, so that this becomes a center for the development of high science of Islamic society. In addition, the Qudam is another place for teaching education other than other mosque. The curriculum is identical to subject matter according to the level of the student at the time. With the classification of the low education curriculum and the higher education curriculum. Number 3, the education system use decentralization or decentralized education system, meaning that education is not only centered in the national capital but has seen and also can build and develop autonomously in areas that have been controlled along with the territorial expansion. For educational purposes, it is almost the same. The purpose of the educational system is forming and developing human beings, called insan kamil. Now we talking about the differences in the style of Islamic education in Damascus and Andalusia. First, in Damascus, Islamic sciences developed such as Sharia, field oral science and dating science, while in Andalusia, Qiraat science, interpretation science, hadith science, and Nahwu science developed in Andalusia. That is different first thing that happened in educational system. And then the teaching of foreign language is Damascus encouraged to make it easier for Muslims when they are outside their area, and also to avoid being deceived by people to other nationalists. So in Damascus, the teaching of language is tightened. Teaching language in Damascus tightened, whereas in Andalusia, which incidentally has entered European territory, is no longer as strict in terms of language teaching. Okay. The third thing, in Cordoba, in Andalusia, there is a library education, but there is the large library to be used by the people, by the society in Andalusia and in Cordoba in terms of increasing their knowledge. Okay, we go to the topic number 5, guys, talking about the Islamic education model of Nahdlatul Ulama, Muhammadiyah, and Al-Irshad. Okay, first discussion is education model of Nahdlatul Ulama. Nahdlatul Ulama used the pesantren system, which is an educational institution, and also Islamic propagation. Islamic boarding school are educational institutions that are managed, developed, and pass on the teachings of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah with an emphasis on traditional education methods in the form of repetition and memorization of religious teaching sources, which become the standard with one of the main literature. It's called the Yellow Book. Okay, and then the characteristic of the teachings of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah Nahdlatul Ulama originate from the Al-Quran, Sunnah, Hadith, Ijma, and Qiyas. Nahdlatul Ulama educational method is a blend method, so that the learning model will develop and not stagnant. These methods include memorization, lecture methods, discussion method, question and answer method. Okay, after we talk about the educational model of Nahdlatul Ulama, next we talk about the educational model of Muhammadiyah. Okay, in general, Muhammadiyah educational system seek the ultimate truth by opening wide the gates of rationally through the teaching of Islam itself, by calling for ijtihad, rejecting taqlid, and returning to the Al-Quran and the Sunnah. The Muhammadiyah educational model is based on the following values. First, Muhammadiyah education is held referring to values originating from the Al-Quran, the Holy, and the Sunnah of the Prophet. The second one is seeking the pleasure of Allah becomes the basis and inspiration in the endeavor to establish and run a business charity in the field of education. The third one is apply the principle of cooperation while maintaining a critical attitude. Okay, after we just discuss the educational model Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah, we go to the educational model of Al-Irsad. Al-Irsad is one of the Islamic organization in Indonesia with its founder named Syekh Ahmad Sukarti. Al-Irsad has a core principle of the educational institution to foster a scientific culture among Muslims, referring to the Al-Quran and Sunnah. And Al-Irsad believes that the education system must reflect an improvement in the standard of living and be able to provide improvements to the condition of the community physically and mentally, and reflect the needs of the community of human needs. It implement modern curriculum, which is kind of special curriculum. Materials and books are adjusted based on the level and length of the time that student study. The operationalization of the learning process or learning activities carried systemically. Secondly, starting from the beginning, start from introduction to its book to the B study to the closing chapter. Check method with Arabic, Qawaid, Nahwu, Surah, Daj, Balaghah, Islam for the Quran and its interpretation, Hadith with its Maslah Hadith, Arithmetic, Geography, Mantiq, and Geometry. The methods that used in educational system include discussion method, practice method, lectures method, and exemplary methods. Islamic educational Irsad views education as the only way to reform Islamic society. It's a contribution to Islamic education in Indonesia. Al-Irsad role in education in Indonesia is very influential and gives style to the education system in Indonesia. When many schools are more concerned with the interest of the intellectual aspect, but Al-Irsad no, they concern to the moral aspect, no concern in the intellectual aspect. That is the difference, because Al-Irsad has goal as an end to improve the successor. To improve the moral of students, moral of the Indonesian people, and make the successors of the nation obedient of their religion. Thank you guys for your attention. I hope that material can be used in the next day, or can you read and give or accepted the new information of the history of Islamic education. I think enough from me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.